My daughter gave me a cigar box on my birthday, but I never expected this to happen. The words echoed in my mind, each syllable dripping with intrigue and a shiver of fear. On the day I turned 50, I thought it would be just another party with cake and balloons. But when she handed me that humble, intricately carved cigar box, its surface smooth and polished as if it held the secrets of the universe, I felt a chill run down my spine. I could see the glint in her eyes, a spark of mischief mixed with something darker, something that whispered of fate. As I carefully opened the lid, a puff of stale air escaped like a long-forgotten secret. Inside, instead of cigars, there lay a collection of photographs, old and yellowed with age. The edges were frayed, and faces peered out, their expressions frozen in time, each telling a story I couldn't begin to fathom. And then, there was a rustle from inside the box. I jumped back, my heart racing as the sounds of something shifting echoed in the silence of the room. What was in that box? What had she found? Curiosity made my pulse race. I now found myself unable to look away from that box, that unwelcome mystery that beckoned me. With trembling hands, I picked up one of the photographs. A young woman with striking blue eyes stared back at me, her hair cascading like a waterfall over her shoulders. I didn't recognize her, but she bore an eerie resemblance to my daughter. My mind raced in overdrive. How could that be? I felt a hot lump in my throat as I scanned through more pictures, strange, unfamiliar faces, but one theme stood out: every person in those photos was connected to a story I had never been told. Suddenly, the room felt too small, the air heavy. The laughter from the party seemed distant as I stumbled back, thoughts spiraling. Who was this woman? What was my daughter hiding? Each second felt like an hour, punctuated by the rising dread that enveloped me. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I moved on to the last photo, its image darker than the others, casting an uncanny vibe. It showed a group of people, all gathered around a table with an air of celebration. Someone was holding what looked like a fortune teller's card, and there was a darkness behind their smiles that sent a shudder through me. My thoughts spiraled, crossed paths, hidden connections. I felt as if I had stumbled upon a web of secrets that linked my family to something much bigger than myself. Then, I noticed a date scrawled on the back of the last picture. It felt like a countdown, a ticking clock that echoed in my ears and quickened my heartbeat. I had to know more. But before I could think further, the lights flickered. A loud crash came from the hallway, jolting me from my daze. I grabbed the cigar box tighter, my heart pounding wildly. What was happening? Could it be connected to those mysteries? I stood frozen, as sounds of footsteps approached, each echo sending pulses of fear through my chest. As the door creaked open, I held my breath, stepping into a darkness thicker than the secrets I had just uncovered. What awaited me? The door swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. My heart raced, and I felt the walls of the room closing in on me. Who was this person? My mind raced through a maze of possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Dad? A soft voice broke through the darkness. Relief washed over me as I recognized my daughter's tremulous tone. But even as I steadied myself, a gnawing worry clawed at my gut. Why did she sound scared? Annie? I forced the words out, hesitating to step forward. What is going on? She stepped into the light, her face pale and drawn. Worry etched deep lines on her forehead as her eyes darted to the box in my hands. Did you look at the photos? Before I could respond, her gaze locked onto the last one I had examined, the gathering around that ominous table. Yeah, I found them, I murmured, fighting against this feeling of dread. Why do you have these? Her breath caught, and I saw her shoulders tense. Because it's part of the truth I was afraid to tell you. Fear gripped me again. Was this truth darker than I imagined? What truth? My voice barely escaped as I stepped closer, searching her face for answers. The woman in the photo, she's not just a stranger. My pulse quickened. The resemblance was unsettling. What do you mean? Annie hesitated, her hand moving slowly to the box. I found those pictures when I was going through Grandma's things after she died. She hid secrets, Dad. Secrets about our family, about who you really are. My breath hitched. What about who I am? The room spun slightly, reality inching further away. The woman, it's you. The photo, it captures moments from a life you've forgotten. The gravity of her words hit me like a punch. That's impossible. I don't even know her. Maybe, but you should. I thought you were safe from all this. Before I could even ask what this was, there was another crash outside, louder this time, breaking the tension like glass shattering. My heart thrummed wildly, echoing in my ears. Annie, what's happening? I felt panic crawling up my spine as her eyes widened, reflecting sheer terror. Someone's coming. We need to leave now. Adrenaline surged through me. I glanced at the photos that had unleashed a whirlwind of questions, knowing I had to abandon them to seek answers. My daughter was staring at me, urgency etched into her features. Follow me. She hissed, grabbing my hand and pulling me toward the back door. The sounds from the hallway grew frantic, urgent footsteps and muffled voices blending into a daunting cacophony. We stumbled into the dimly lit corridor, the shadows flickering as the flickering lights above threatened to plunge us into darkness. I could barely think about what I had just learned. Annie, we can't just run. I need to understand what is going on. Her grip tightened. No. If they catch us, we may not have a chance to find out anything. Right now, we have to focus on getting out. Fear coursed through me, yet beneath it, a flicker of determination ignited. Whatever the truth was, I would face it. In that moment, as my daughter pulled me into the unknown, I knew we had to escape the looming dread. And somehow, I felt like our lives depended on it. Just as we reached the back door, it creaked open, and a tall figure emerged, silhouetted against the fading light. My heart sank as the figure called out, "Don't go." The voice was familiar. It sent a shock through me, leaving me frozen as uncertainty enveloped everything. Who was it? And what did they want? The figure stepped forward, the darkness swallowing the last threads of light. My breath caught in my throat. As the man emerged fully, my mind raced. The features were unmistakable, etched in lines of time. "David," he said, his voice smooth like silk, but laced with something darker. "I've been looking for you." I took a half step back, pulling Annie closer. "What do you want?" I demanded. He smiled, but it felt cold. "You need to listen to me. There are things about your past, about our family, that you don't know." Annie echoed my fear, whispering, "Dad, we should go." But I couldn't move. This was my father, a ghost from a lifetime ago. The emotions tangled in my chest: love, betrayal, confusion, and they threatened to overwhelm me. "I did what I had to do, David," he continued, stepping closer. "You thought you were safe. But they're here, and they won't stop until they find you." "Who? Who are they?" I said through gritted teeth, resisting the urge to collapse under his gaze. His eyes flicked to Annie, and I felt the tension in my shoulders tighten even further. "They know about the box. They know about the photos," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "They want what's inside." My heartbeat thundered. The box. I clutched it against my chest as if it held all the answers. "What's inside? What are you talking about?" He reached for me, but I flinched back, a primal fear curling in my gut. "You have to trust me," he said. "It's not safe here. I can explain everything, but not now." The distant sounds of chaos in the house sharpened, echoing down the corridor. A door slammed, followed by hurried footsteps. The urgency pressed heavily on me. "Dad, we need to go, right now." Annie's voice trembled, and I could feel her heart racing through her grip. He turned to Annie, surprised. "You shouldn't even be here," he said, his tone shifting, almost panicked. "It's too late for you, but not for him. You have to understand." "Understand what?" I shouted, desperate and bewildered. My world, already spinning, was breaking apart, and he was the last link to my past. Just then, a loud crash erupted from the front of the house. It felt like the walls were closing in, and I knew if we didn't move now, we would be trapped. "David," he urged. "They're coming. Please." But I hesitated, staring into my father's eyes, searching for the truth. Could I trust him? Would he lead us into danger? Annie glanced back, her face pale as fresh fear washed over us. "We can't stay." Moments passed like hours, and within that silence, I made a choice. "Let us go." We turned and bolted for the back door, racing into the fading light. The night air hit me with an icy blast, filling my lungs with urgency. But just as we stepped over the threshold, I heard the door slam behind us, that voice calling after us, "You don't know what you're running from." My heart thundered with a mix of dread and determination. I gripped Annie's hand tighter, darting down the path away from the house. Adrenaline surged as the darkness enveloped us. "Keep running. Don't look back," I urged, knowing the shadows were closing in. But somewhere in that chaos, a spark of thought dug into my chest. What was the truth my father had referenced? What secrets were hidden in that box? We sprinted into the night, the threat of pursuit looming behind us, the chilling echo of my father's words igniting a flicker of dread deep inside. As we reached the tree line, I turned to Annie. "We'll find answers, I promise." But even as I spoke, doubt crept in. Did I have the strength to face whatever was coming? And would the truth lead us to safety, or would it tear us apart? And through it all, I couldn't shake the feeling that the chase was only just beginning. Branches whipped against my face as we dashed into the woods. The darkness wrapped around us like a heavy blanket, suffocating in its weight. I focused on the rhythmic pounding of my feet against the earth, trying to shake off the image of my father standing there, pleading and desperate. "Where do we go?" Annie panted, her breath coming in sharp gasps. The sound of our escape was soon joined by something sinister behind us, a low, ominous growl that set my nerves on fire. "Just keep running," I urged, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. I wanted to believe the forest would hide us, a refuge from whatever lurked in the shadows. But that belief shivered and waned, nagging at the back of my mind. Suddenly, a crack echoed through the trees. I skidded to a halt, my heart racing, and pulled Annie closer. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, listening intently. The growl came again, this time closer, more menacing. "I don't want to wait to find out what it is," Annie said, her voice trembling. "Then let us move." We stumbled deeper into the woods, ducking beneath branches, darting around thick trunks. My mind raced, drowning in questions I didn't have time to answer. Who were they? What did they want with me? The box felt heavy in my grip, a cursed burden that I couldn't fully understand. I caught a flash of movement between the trees and my breath hitched. What was that? I felt a sharp pang in my chest. It moved swiftly, surveying us with dark intent. "I'm scared, Dad," Annie's voice cracked, and I could feel her fear like an electric charge between us. "Stay close to me," I said fiercely. I wanted to shield her, but the truth was, I had just as much uncertainty swirling in my gut. I was not the protector I was supposed to be. Ahead, I spotted a faint light flickering through the tree's hope. I pushed forward, pulling Annie with me, adrenaline pumping through my veins. There. I pointed. It could be a cabin, or something. We might find safety. We sprinted towards it, breathless. As we approached, a shadow shifted near the entrance, and dread washed over me. Annie, wait! I commanded, but we were too close. The figure stepped into the glow, revealing a face half hidden beneath a hood. In an instant, my heart sank. It was a woman familiar, yet I couldn't place her. Her lips curled into a knowing smile. "You've finally come, David." My blood ran cold. "Who are you?" I barked, ready to draw Annie back if I had to fight. "Relax. I'm not your enemy," she said, voice smooth like silk but edged with something darker. "I've been waiting for you. The box, it's key to everything." "Not again," I muttered, shaking my head. "More secrets? More unknowns. What you need to understand is who is chasing you." Before she could finish, the trees behind us rustled violently, and the growl roared like thunder. My pulse quickened. "Let us go," I shouted, grabbing Annie's arm. But before we could make our escape, shadows burst forth from the trees, silhouettes morphing into terrible forms. The woman's eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. "You can't outrun them. We have to get inside." With my heart lodged in my throat, I spun toward the door, hoping it would provide refuge from the horrors bearing down upon us. We crushed through the threshold, and I slammed the door behind us. Breathless, I turned to see the woman step closer, the shadows shifting just outside. "You're running out of time, David. They're here, and the truth is far worse than you can imagine." The air grew thick with anticipation, and I felt the weight of unspoken revelations. What lay ahead was more than just danger, it was destiny. "Get ready for the storm," she whispered, and my heart sank deeper. But just as I prepared to demand answers, the door rattled violently. Whatever was outside wanted in, and I had no idea if the next moment would shatter everything I thought I knew. "Stay close," I turned to Annie, heart racing. "No matter what happens, don't let go." And then, with a deafening crash, the shadows stormed the door. What horrors awaited on the other side? The truth could change everything. The door buckled under the onslaught, splintering at the edges. I grabbed Annie, my own breath echoing in the frantic space between us. The woman's eyes darted to the door, fear mingling with determination. "Trust me," she shouted, stepping towards the back of the room. "We need to find the cellar." "Cellar?" I demanded, but she was already moving, and the urgency in her voice pushed me to follow. The shadows behind us roared again, drowning out reason. I pulled Annie close. Her small hand felt like a lifeline, grounding me. We hurried down a narrow hallway, glancing back at the door. Each tremble of wood sent jolts of panic through me. What if they got through? What if there was nowhere to hide? "Here!" the woman cried, pushing open a door leading to a steep set of stairs that spiraled into darkness. I hesitated for a moment, listening to the chaos above. The growling grew louder, more feral, ripping through the silence. I had no time for doubts. "Annie, we have to go," I urged, ushering her down. As we descended, the musty smell of damp earth filled my lungs. Goosebumps rose on my arms. It felt ancient down here, like stepping into a forgotten time. Just what were we hiding from? We reached the bottom step and I glanced around. The cellar was dim, the only light filtering through narrow slits in the walls. Old boxes and cobwebs hugged the corners, shadows merging into ominous shapes. In the far corner, a faint shimmer caught my eye, a crack in the stone, just large enough to squeeze through. "Over there." I pointed. The woman's dark expression shifted, something flickering within it. "No. That one lead to safety." "Then what will?" I hissed. The room vibrated with tension, the door creaking ominously overhead. "The box!" she exclaimed, her voice sharp like a knife cutting through fog. "Give it to me. I can unlock its power." My grip on the box tightened. I felt its weight, felt it pulling my thoughts and memories. Every inch of my body screamed to keep it close as if it were a lifeline to my past. "No," I shook my head. "What's in it?" Her features sharpened, pinched with urgency. "It's not just a box, David. It's a key, a portal. We can use it, but I need you to trust me." Her voice cracked, pressing against the rising fear. "Trust you?" I echoed, every protective instinct warring within me. "You're a stranger. You could be leading us right into their jaws." "I know. But I'm not your enemy." Remember, her intensity softened for a brief moment. "I know the pain of your past. I can help you find your father. But we don't have much time." Before I could respond, the door above us blasted open with a deafening roar. Shadows poured in like liquid night, a mass of writhing limbs and snarls. My heart lurched at the chaotic sight. "Now!" She lunged for me, eyes aflame with fierce focus. In that instant, fear collided with desperation. Would this box hold the answers I sought? Or was it just another deception? "Annie, stay behind me!" I shouted as the shadows drew closer, swallowing sound and light. With my heart pounding in my chest, I ripped open the box. What I saw inside flickered with possibilities, illuminating and chilling all at once. "David, the choice is yours." The woman's voice echoed above the chaos. As the shadows surged forward, I reached into the unknown, ready to unleash whatever fate awaited us. Would I find salvation or ruin? The storm was here, and it threatened to consume us all. The moment my fingers grazed the inside of the box, a surge of energy pulsed through me. The air trembled, crackling like static, and an intense light began to emanate from within. It enveloped us, pushing back the encroaching shadows. I blinked against the brightness, struggling to understand what I was seeing. "Let me see it," the woman insisted, her voice strained, filled with urgency that pricked my skin. The shadows hesitated, momentarily stalled by the unforeseen light. However, I could feel their malice lurking, ready to strike again. "What is this?" I shouted, my heart hammering a wild rhythm. "Is it going to save us or damn us? I can unlock its potential. Hand it over." Her eyes burned with a mix of fear and desperation, drawing me deeper into the whirlwind of chaos around us. Whatever lay inside the box shimmered as if whispering ancient secrets. Images swirled, fragmented memories of laughter and warmth. My father's face flickered like a flame, and I gasped, finally feeling the weight of my longing for him. Yet alongside this warmth, dread tightened my chest. What if it opened a door to darker forces? "David!" the woman yelled, snapping me back to reality as the shadows writhed again, more agitated now. With their growls growing louder, I felt time slipping through my fingers. "Annie!" I called, catching her wide-eyed stare. She stood frozen, confusion and fear written across her small face. I couldn't let her down, I needed to protect her. "This box, it holds memories, right? It holds power?" I looked at the woman, pleading for truth amidst the chaos. "Yes. You need to will it, David. It will respond to your desire. But you have to act quickly." She shifted nervously as the shadows tested the edges of our bright sanctuary. Desperation clawed at my throat. "What do I need to do?" "Focus on what you want most." She leaned closer, her voice almost a whisper. "That light reflects your heart's true hope. It can pull you away from this nightmare. But if you let fear win, it'll be your end." Fear, it was roaring in my ears, clawing at my resolve. I pictured my father, the life we could have had, the safety of loved ones. "Annie," I said, forcing the words through the tightness in my chest, "hold on to me. Don't let go, no matter what happens. I could feel the coldness of shadows creeping forward as though sensing my wavering resolve. Clenching the box tighter, I closed my eyes and summoned every ounce of courage within me. I didn't just want to escape. I wanted to find my father. The light brightened, blindingly fierce, flooding my mind with images of hope intertwined with anguish. Unlock it. The woman shouted, her voice barely piercing the veil of unyielding chaos surrounding us. With one last deep breath, I steeled myself and spoke, I want to find him. I want to be free. As the words left my lips, the light exploded outward. The shadows recoiled, momentarily vanquished by the raw power of my plea. I felt a pull, like I was being drawn through a tunnel, a rush of emotions swirling around me. But before I could brace for impact, the ground beneath us shifted, and the last fragments of shadow reached for me, snarling and howling. Then, everything vanished in a blinding flash. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the cellar. Where were we? Fear gripped me once more as I looked around. Annie? I called, panic seeping into my voice. Silence answered. Was this the salvation I had sought, or a new hell? And in that moment, I realized, I was utterly alone. The world around me was nothing like what I had left. I blinked, adjusting to the sudden change. The ground felt solid, almost too solid, like I was standing on some ancient, unforgiving rock rather than a warm, welcoming floor. Annie? My voice shot through the silence, echoing back at me, mocking my desperation. I took a few tentative steps forward. The air was thick and cold, a stark contrast to the warmth we had just felt. A rustling in the distance made me freeze. Hello? I called out, my heart leaping into my throat. Every instinct screamed for me to turn back, but I couldn't. Not without Annie. The landscape shifted around me, murky shadows creeping along the jagged edges of the stone walls that loomed overhead. Vines twisted like fingers, clawing toward the dim sky, which had turned into a swirling void. There was no sun, no stars, only the oppressive weight of darkness. Chills raced down my spine as I felt the urgency of the moment gnawing at my insides. I took another step, each footfall echoing like a distant drumbeat. Annie! I shouted again, my voice steady, desperate to fill the void. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a flicker, a glimmer of light, just beyond a grotesque tree made of twisted branches. A single heartbeat of hope forced me forward, compelling me to move faster. I darted toward the light, heart pounding, adrenaline flooding my system. Each breath felt ragged, charged with a fear that somehow became a lifeline. The closer I got, the more the shadows stirred, restless and hungry. When I reached the source, I gasped. It was another box, identical to the one that had drawn me into this nightmare. This one, however, pulsed with an ethereal glow, bright and inviting. I felt a strange connection, as if it was summoning me. But could I trust it? A soft, haunting laugh echoed through the trees, sending a shiver down my spine. David, it came from all around me, and the shadows seemed to twitch, eager for my response. Do you really think you can escape? Who's there? I shouted, my voice cracking with fear. I clenched my fists, willing myself to stay brave. The laughter continued, swirling around, teasing. You've summoned me, haven't you? You thought you could follow your heart just like that? I stiffened. Show yourself. At that moment, the shadows shifted, and from the depths of darkness emerged a figure cloaked in black, the face obscured by the hood. You've opened the door, David. Now you must face the consequences. Before the words could fully register, the figure pointed toward the box. What are you willing to risk for what you seek? A faint glimmer ignited within me. This was the moment of truth. Annie! I exclaimed, my heart thudding heavily with every syllable. Choose wisely, the figure said, its voice a chilling blend of honeyed tone and icy malice. Let your desire define your fate. The shadows licked at the edges of my resolve, tempting me with the power of the unknown. I could feel the weight of decisions pressing down on me, threatening to crush whatever hope remained. What is it that you truly want? The shadows beckoned, whispering promises of finding her, of reuniting with my long-lost father. But at what cost? My throat tightened as I realized I had a choice to make. And somewhere in the swirling darkness, uncertainty clawed at my mind. Then, unexpected laughter cut through the air. Do you hear it, David? It's time to decide. Will you save your daughter or will you perish in the dark? The shadows lunged forward, and I felt their cold grip closing in on me, wrapping around my throat like a vice. The pressure built inside me, exploding into a plea. I want them back, my family. I want them safe. Instantly, the box at my feet vibrated, sending shockwaves of energy through the ground. Light erupted with startling intensity, pushing back the shadows, illuminating my path, but from the corner of my eye, I caught a flicker of movement, a figure emerging from the darkness, eyes alight with sinister delight. I couldn't shake the feeling that the real test was only just beginning. Now, David, it cackled. You've entered a game you cannot win. And with that, the light flickered, and the shadows closed in again, thickening around me. I felt the ground tremble beneath me, the choice, the risk, pressing ever closer, but in that looming darkness, something stirred within me, a spark of defiance. The moment had come. What awaited me on the other side? The shadows pressed in tightly, and I felt the suffocating power of despair as they danced along my skin. My breath came in short gasps, panic rising in my chest. You're running out of time, David, the cloaked figure taunted, its voice dripping with sinister glee. The air pulsated with its laughter, a cruel melody that struck terror in my heart. That I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to focus. I thought of Annie, her laughter, her smile. The weight of her absence anchored me, grounding me against the chaos swirling around me. You can't have her, I shouted, more to reassure myself than anything. Suddenly, the light from the box surged forward, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. It pushed back against the darkness, illuminating a clear path ahead. The voice of the figure transformed into an echo, almost drowned out by the growing brightness. Hope is a deceiver, it rasped, a hint of fury threading through its tone. You'll soon learn that the warmth you cling to is the very fire that will consume you. I didn't have time for its words. I lunged towards the glowing box, my fingers trembling as I reached out to touch it. The moment my skin met the surface, I felt a rush of energy flow through me. A surge of memories, desires, and fears crashed over me, each one bringing its own kind of pain. Visions flickered in front of my eyes, Annie's childish laughter from when she was little, the last time we shared a family meal, the horror of her disappearing into thin air. My heart ached as I absorbed each recollection, each loss, and then another flicker. A darkened room, my father's face twisted in anguish, saying goodbye, a goodbye I never wanted to accept. It hit me like a punch to the gut. The choice wasn't just about saving Annie, there was more at stake. Their lives intertwined, tangled within this harrowing web of shadows. No! I screamed, yanking my hand away from the box as the weight of reality crashed down hard. What if the shadows were right? What if I lost them both? The thought was crippling. Are you afraid, David? The figure hissed, the darkness swirling tighter around me. It's not just a choice, it's a sacrifice. To save one, you must lose another. What will it be? My heart raced, fear tangling with desperation. Annie! I shouted again, the name almost a prayer, a lifeline I had to hold on to. Suddenly, the box erupted in dazzling light, blinding me for a moment. A soft whisper carried through the brilliance. Was I hearing her voice? Daddy, help me. It was faint, an echo weighted with urgency. The laughter of the figure faded, replaced by the thundering of my heart, a pulsing rhythm that surged in tandem with the light. It wasn't just illuminating my surroundings, it poured into the dark crevices of my soul, igniting my courage. I felt the shadows recoil slightly, like a tide drawing back. Enough! I roared, determination sparking a newfound strength within me, but the figure would not relent. You venture deeper into the dark, David. Are you prepared for the truth? As I moved closer, the vibrant glow of the box pulsed faster, thrumming in response to my feelings. I wasn't backing down. I had come this far. I extended my hand again, ready to confront whatever awaited me, whatever I had to face. The moment I touched the box again, a rush of energy enveloped me, promising revelation. A chill ran down my spine as I felt the world shift. The shadows whirled violently, their whispers rising into a cacophony. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything went silent. A flash of brightness washed over me, and I stood, breathless and alone. "What have you brought forth, David?" The voice echoed from behind me, a hissed whisper mingling with a fresh unease. I turned, dread clawing at my throat. In the distance, I saw her Annie, her figure shimmering, caught between two worlds, as uncertain as I was. And then, from the depths of darkness, shadows lunged again, hungry and relentless, threatening to engulf her. "Dad!" she cried, desperation laced in her voice. I could only stare, the weight of my decision pressing heavy on my chest. Would I have to choose once again? The game was changing, and the rules were far from clear. What was fate preparing to reveal next? Annie's voice shattered the silence, slicing through the weight of despair that seemed to cloak me. Instinct kicked in. I bolted towards her, every muscle in my body tightening with anxieties I could hardly grasp. It was chaos around me. Shadows clawed at the edges of my vision, and the figure loomed, a dark specter shaking with malevolent delight. "Stay back!" I shouted to the shadows, brandishing what little courage I had left. Their laughter filled the air, drowning out my own pulse, steady and terrified like war drums beating a wretched rhythm. "Foolish man," the cloaked figure chortled, "you think you can save her? There are truths buried here you aren't ready to face." I wanted to argue back, to tell it I'd do anything, fight, bargain. But all I could think of was Annie, her frightened eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "I'm coming, sweetie. Just hold on." But even as I ran, doubt gnawed at the edges of my mind. The shadows twisted, coiling labyrinths around my feet. Each step was a battle against gravity, as if they wanted to pull me back into their suffocating embrace. "Daddy!" Her voice rang like a bell, clear but distant, mirrored yet shrouded. I could taste the fear she felt like a bitter ash lodged in my throat. I stumbled, falling forward, reaching desperately for her. The brilliant light from the box flickered behind me and I glimpsed a slice of hope a way through. But to get to her, would I have to cross through that darkness? The figure sneered, its visage shifting into something dreadful, its face a blur of shrouded malice. "You'll regret this, David. You will see." With a final push of desperation, I sprang toward the light, arms outstretched. The moment my fingertips brushed the box again, a surge of warmth pulsed through me, shattering the cold terror that gripped my heart. Memories flooded back, laughter, love, warmth. Annie's smile, her tiny hand in mine. The brightness from the box exploded outwards, the shadows shrieking as they recoiled. "No!" The figure screamed, rage twisting its voice. The light brightened to a blinding intensity, causing everything to blur. I blinked, blinded not just by illumination, but by the very thoughts colliding in my mind. "Annie!" I stumbled toward her shimmering form, but as I reached out, the shadows surged once more, wrapping around my legs, pulling me back. I fought against their grasp, my heart racing. What was this darkness? Was it a part of me? "Daddy, please. I need you." Annie's voice trembled through the chaos, and I steeled my resolve. The shadows tried to suffocate my thoughts, clawing for control, but the bond one felt with her lit a fire deep within. "Stop!" I bellowed with everything I had inside me. "You want to take her. You want to take us." The shadows recoiled, the figure shrieked, its power faltering briefly under the weight of my conviction. The light flickered again, and in that second, in the pause of despair, I felt a shift. "Come into my light, Annie. I'm here." I lunged forward, pushing through the lingering tension, the scattered whispers wrapping tighter around me like a broken promise. Was that faith I felt rising in my chest? The moment hung in the air, thick with tension, uncertain. I shot toward them. Would I be too late? Or could I tear down the shadows that threatened to devour us both? And then, beneath the cacophony, an unexpected realization struck like a thunderclap. Perhaps I didn't have to face this alone. Maybe, just maybe, it was Annie who held the key, but what price would I pay for that key, and could I afford to lose everything? The air was electric, charged with a weight I could hardly comprehend. As the shadows hissed and writhed around us, my heart raced louder than my thoughts. Desperation gnawed at my insides. Annie! I yelled again, urgency slicing through the chaos. Her shimmering form flickered, hovering just out of reach, imprisoned by the darkness that tore at the fabric of our reunion. Daddy! She cried, her voice trembling, yet determined. Struck by the bond of our shared fear, an idea ignited within me. I needed to unlock her strength, the light within her that had always enchanted me. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the memories of us, her laughter, the warmth of her presence. Annie, you're stronger than this. I shouted, pushing against the shadows that squeezed my throat. Focus on what you want. You can break free. My words shone with the conviction I desperately needed myself. For a moment, the darkness stuttered as if considering my challenge. A strange flicker ignited in Annie's eyes, and she hesitated. I could see her searching for the strength within. The shadows tightened their grip, sensing her resolve, angered by my plea for her release. No! I roared, pouring all my will into her. You are not just my daughter, you carry our hope. The figure, still lurking, erupted into laughter. Hope? You think you can save her with mere thoughts? That power is far beyond you, David. But I felt the tide shifting, a ripple in the tangled connection between shadows and light. Just think about home. Think about our family. I pressed, fingers trembling as I reached for her. The brilliance of the box behind me pulsed once more, invitingly. No! The figure shouted, and the shadows lunged forward, the true nightmare clawing for our souls. But I knew the truth now, our love mattered. It was the weapon we needed against this darkness. I and the vortex of chaos, the light from the box surged into a tidal wave. Fight back, Annie. You are not alone. Suddenly, I felt her touch. From the depths of despair, she reached for me, her hand brushing mine. A warmth spread through us, igniting the very air with fire and light. Daddy! I can see you. Her eyes sparkled with renewed strength, radiating pure resolve that cut through the suffocating shadows. Step into the light with me. I cried, infused with a renewed sense of purpose. Our hands clasped tight, we summoned every ounce of that flickering hope. Shadows distorted, retreating slightly, sensing the unity between us. Then, as if understanding the gravity of our bond, the shadows lunged one final time, hissing threats that echoed against our hearts. But we pressed on, pouring love and defiance into the air, channeling all we were into a single, shining moment. Now! I shouted, and we grasped the glowing box together. Its energy surged, wrapping around us like a cocoon, glowing with a fierce brightness. Light exploded outward, blindingly fierce, purging the darkness that had latched onto us so tightly. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of rage and fear as our combined presence shattered their hold. I felt a wave wash over me, exhilaration coursing through my veins, as if a weight had dissolved from my very being. In that moment, the cloaked figure reeled back, unable to withstand the power of our love. No! It screamed, voice laced with malice. You cannot escape. You've chosen too late. Maybe. I threw back defiantly, pulling Annie closer. But we didn't choose fear. We chose each other. As the last remnants of darkness crumbled, we stood illuminated by rays of pure light, united and unbroken. I felt a storm break apart, scattering shadows like dust in the wind, releasing their grip on our hearts forever. The void that once threatened to swallow us faded away. Once again, we were enveloped in warmth. When I opened my eyes, we stood in a space transformed, a garden bathed in golden hues, beauty swirling around us like a dream. The terror ebbed away into sweet relief. I turned to Annie, who gazed up at me with wide, innocent eyes that sparkled brighter than ever. "Where are we, Dad?" she asked, pure wonder mixed with disbelief. "Somewhere safe," I whispered, tears of joy pooling in my eyes as I crouched to embrace her. "We made it, together." As we held on tight, a sense of completion washed over me. The chaos had ended, but the journey had carved pathways in our hearts that would let us face whatever came next. Our family was forged anew out of the shadows, strong and resilient. And together, we were ready to uncover the truths we had long been denied. "Let us go home," I said, and it felt like a promise. Somewhere beyond the shadows of our past, a new beginning unfurled, waiting with open hands. If you're with us for this journey, now is your moment. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any exclusive stories coming up. Smash that like button now and show your support like the champions you are. Go ahead and flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, and thoughts about how you think our family will rise from here. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this powerful conclusion. Remember, only true fans understand how much these actions support the channel we create together.